guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video will be kicking off a series that you're going to be seeing over the next couple of months on my channel, where I share my absolute favorite sunscreens of all time. But because I have so many sunscreens that I love, like so many, I thought it would make more sense to break down these videos into a few different categories, like my favorite Asian sunscreens, my favorite glowy sunscreens, and for today's video, my favorite US sunscreens. All the sunscreens in today's video will be untinted because I already posted a video around this time last year sharing my top 5 favorite tinted sunscreens. Since then, my top 5 favorite have not changed, so I will list that video below if you haven't seen that yet, if you are interested in some new tinted sunscreens, but that is why for today's video, we have untinted sunscreens only. When it comes to me actually considering a sunscreen to be one of my favorites, I do have several rules, which I'm sure you guys could have guessed. They can't feel heavy or greasy. Ew. They can't leave a white cast, they can't pill or go streaky or patchy, they have to blend beautifully and seamlessly into the skin, they can't sting my skin or my eyes, obviously, they can't look greasy or overly shiny on my skin, and they cannot be an SPF 30. Because it's been shown that people tend to under-apply sunscreen and therefore are not often actually getting that labeled SPF, all of the sunscreens in this video are at least an SPF 45, if not higher. As usual with my sunscreen reviews, we will break down the ingredients in each of these sunscreens and talk about the feel and formula and finish of each product, which will include hand swatches, so you can get a feel really up close for that consistency, and also face application. So I will apply each sunscreen to my face, and I will apply 2 layers at that so you can see how they apply, if they go streaky, which they don't, but if you want to see for yourself, and how the finish looks after it's had a chance to absorb into my skin. So if you are in the market for some new, beautiful, amazing sunscreens, you've come to the right spot. We're going to jump into that in a second, but before we do, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, click on that notification bell, and drop a comment below letting me know how you are doing today. I hope you guys are all doing great, and thank you so much for doing all of those things because it really helps to support me with the YouTube algorithm. If you need anything from me, check out my description box below. I have Lightroom preset filters for editing your Instagram photos, my SPF merch, timestamps, discount codes, links to all the sunscreens that I'll be talking through today, and links to my favorite beauty products of all time. All right, let's jump into it. All right, I wanted to find a way to organize these sunscreens, so I thought we could organize them by finish, starting off with the sunscreens that dry down more naturally, working our way up to the dewier finish sunscreens. So on that note, let's start off with my first favorite, which is the Roche Posay Anthelios Melt-In Milk Sunscreen. This is an SPF 60 that is water and sweat resistant for up to 80 minutes. I will make sure to call that out for each of these sunscreens in the event that you are on the hunt for one that is. Obviously, that is ideal if you're going to be outside, especially during these really hot, humid, warm weather months. For me personally, if I'm just inside working all day, I'm totally fine with a sunscreen that is not water and sweat resistant. But let's say I'm going to go on a run, long walk outside, then I want to make sure I'm using a sunscreen that is. The active ingredients in this sunscreen are all chemical filters, including avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, and octocrylene, and some inactive ingredients worth highlighting include vitamin E, candle tree leaf, and Roche Posay's thermal spring water. So some soothing, conditioning, and hydrating ingredients here. This is definitely one of the thicker sunscreens in this video, but it's not one that feels thick and heavy, just in comparison to some of these others that are super, super runny and liquidy. This is not like that, but I really, really love it. It's this lightweight lotion that feels, I agree, it says velvety. It feels very soft and velvety. It's so nice. This is just one of those sunscreens that I love reaching for. I mean, I love reaching for all of these, but if my skin is feeling dehydrated or dry or tight, this is such a nice one because it's so soft and it feels moisturizing on the skin without feeling heavy or sticky. I just cannot stand a sunscreen that feels that way. It's just super nice. So if you do have drier skin, you want something that has a little bit of a creamier feel, but still feels lightweight, I think that you will love this. This has a very, very nice natural finish. It doesn't look shiny whatsoever, but at the same time, it's definitely not one. Do they say it's matte? No. Okay, good. I was going to say it's not one that's matte. I feel like there are actually a lot of sunscreens out there that claim to be matte, and they are not even close to that. So I would say a good natural dry down, which I personally love as someone with oily skin. So even though it's not the most liquidy, watery consistency out there, I still love this because it's not enhancing my shine. So all around an amazing sunscreen. Did I already say SPF 60? Did I forget to say that? Well, if you didn't know, now you do. I love the Roche Posay sunscreens. I will say, I do have one other La Roche Posay sunscreen for this video, but I love so many of theirs. So if you would like to see a dedicated video on my favorite La Roche Posay sunscreens, I think I have like 5 or maybe 6. Let me know, I am totally down to do that. Next is one that will not be new to you if you've been watching my channel for a while. This is the DRMTLGY Broad Spectrum SPF 45. I have loved this for years at this point. It is so amazing and has such a unique formula that we'll get to in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. This one is not water or sweat resistant, and it is a combination sunscreen. So the active ingredients are zinc oxide and octinoxate, and there's really nice inactive ingredient highlights in this sunscreen, including niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, and some antioxidants like knotgrass extract and vitamin E. I am obsessed with how this feels. It is like a lightweight, yet still hydrating lotion. I think compared to this La Roche Posay sunscreen, it's just a little bit lighter weight, a little bit less creamy than this. Still feels very soft like this one though. It just has a really nice silky feel on the skin. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think that DRMTLGY just nails it with the texture and consistency of their products. They always feel elevated. But something that I think is especially unique about this one is that while it does feel hydrating when you're applying it, there's also something, I don't know, that goes slightly dry as you're rubbing it into the skin. It doesn't feel dry like it's tightening your skin. It's just that instead of it being a wet, sticky lotion, it's really hard to describe. There's almost like a tiny bit of a powdery element to it. I hesitate to say that because again, it does not feel like a powder, like anything that's dry or tight on the skin. It's just not wet or sticky at all, which is one of the reasons why I love it. It just feels so freaking nice. This is also something that I would consider to have a natural finish on the skin. It does give you a little bit more of a glow than the La Roche Posay sunscreen, but in a natural, subtle way. So if you're looking for something that is just that kind of soft, diffused glow without it looking really wet and dewy, this is gonna be right up your alley. I love this so much. I almost forgot to say it. I know I say it every time I talk about DRMTLGY, but just in case any of you are new, I do have a 20% off discount link for the entire brand in the description boxes of all of my videos. You have to click on that link in order to have the 20% off automatically applied at checkout. But again, it will apply to anything that you purchase from them, and they have some great products. I'll list some of my favorites from DRMTLGY for you below as well, in case you're in the mood for shopping. Next up is the other sunscreen that I have from La Roche Posay. This is their Anthelios AOX Daily Antioxidant Serum with Sunscreen. This is an SPF 50. It is not water or sweat resistant, and like the other sunscreen from La Roche Posay, this only has chemical filters. So the active ingredients are avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, octocrylene, and oxybenzone. This does have vitamins C and E, which is where the antioxidant claim comes from. I would not say that this is going to do the same type of thing for your skin as, let's say, like a 20% vitamin C serum, but I do think that those are nice conditioning ingredients. This also has some anti-inflammatory ingredients, including skullcap root and candle tree leaf, which was in the other sunscreen, and again, their thermal spring water. The texture of this, you guys, is what dreams are made of. I already said it. I was gonna say I reach for it all the time. I reach for all of these all the time, but every time I get to one, I get excited because this is just something special. This definitely has the most liquidy, runny, lightweight consistency out of all of this. Yes, I'm gonna say that. There's one that's a close second, but this has the most liquidy, runny, lightweight consistency out of all the sunscreens in this video. It still feels very nice and soft, but just in a lighter weight way. It's very hydrating, and it's just one that is going to be perfect for you if you can't stand the feel of a thicker, creamier sunscreen. It's definitely not going to have the same kind of feel as the serums that we're all used to using in our skincare routines, like the ordinary hyaluronic acid serum where it's super watery. Not quite like that. It definitely does have a little bit more of a lotiony consistency than that, but I would say it's kind of like a gel serum lotion hybrid. It's somewhere in the middle of all three of those things in the best way possible. The finish of this is another that I would consider to be a nice natural glow. It's not over the top. It doesn't look dry. It's just, yeah, healthy, hydrating, really pretty. This is gonna be for you if you want a sunscreen that feels like you're just not really wearing one. if you don't want to feel like you're putting another heavy product on top of the skincare products that you already have on. If you, let's say, maybe are using a really thick moisturizing cream and the thought of having to put sunscreen on top of that is like, oh, you will love this because it's so lightweight, feels hydrating, but once it's dried down, it's like, did I even put anything on? But you did. Next is the Supergoop Play Everyday Lotion. This is an SPF 50 and is water and sweat resistant for 80 minutes. This is a chemical sunscreen as well. The active ingredients are avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, and octocrylene. And it has some really nice inactive ingredients like rice bran extract, which conditions and protects the skin, Olive 1000, which is a I was gonna combine reparative and moisturizing. I think I was gonna say repoisturizing. No. Moisturizing, reparative combination of ingredients. This has vitamin E and allantoin, which calms and soothes. The only thing to note about this is that it does actually have several different essential oils in it, and you can smell them. I wouldn't say heavily, but there's a little bit of a floral scent going on here, a little bit of a lavender smell. It's subtle for sure. You guys know I'm very picky about the way things smell, especially obviously fragrances and skincare products. As someone with sensitive skin, I have to be very, very careful with anything that's heavily fragranced or it can really irritate my skin. But you guys know I would never recommend something to you that causes irritation for me. And like I said in the intro, that is one of my rules. It cannot sting or burn on my skin or in my eyes, and this does not do that for me at all. For some reason, I get lucky with this, no irritation. The texture of this is like a creamier lotion. I don't quite want to call it a cream because it's not as thick as that, but it's not quite as lightweight as something like the Dermatology sunscreen. It's just a little bit creamier than that, but still feels really nice, just glides right on the skin. Supergoop makes some amazing sunscreens as well, so this one definitely did not disappoint, and it feels nice and moisturizing and hydrating, again, without it feeling heavy and thick. This definitely has a little bit of a glowier finish than some of the options we've talked about so far, but it's not super dewy. It's not something that I would consider to be wet looking on the cheeks. I do have a couple here that I think start to lean more that way. So if you want something that definitely does enhance the glow and feels just like a nice, soft, moisturizing, hydrating, creamy lotion, then I think you'll love this. I'm doing my best to differentiate between these. At the end of the day, a lot of them do feel and look very, very similar on the skin. So I'm trying to pinpoint small differences, but just know we're getting similar vibes here. It really just depends on what you're looking for and those slight kind of variations in finish and texture. This is the newest sunscreen to my collection, and it's one I wish I knew about sooner because I definitely would have included it in my drugstore sunscreen favorites video that I posted about a month ago. If you haven't seen that yet, I will list that below. I talked about several new drugstore sunscreens that I was really loving, and if I had known about this, it would have made the cut because it's so good and so cheap. This is like $10. So if you're going for affordable in this video, this is gonna be the winner. I have to say though, I was so skeptical about this when I heard it was popping off on social media. I was like, Bondi Sands? You mean the self-tanner? Like, that's how I know the brand is a self-tan brand. And I mean, who knows? Maybe they had sunscreens all along and I just wasn't paying attention. Well, okay, it doesn't say new on their website. So maybe it's just one of those products that people started discovering because of social media and it was there all along. I don't know, but I, again, was skeptical because I've only ever known this brand as a self-tan brand and I don't love their self-tanners. I'll include my self-tan showdowns below. I think I've tried out like 3 different tanners from them. Wasn't impressed by any, so I did not expect to be impressed by this, but I was. I really was. This is water and sweat resistant for 80 minutes, which I also love. I love when I can find something affordable that I can wear on a run. I'm like, if I'm just gonna sweat this off, it would be nice if it was cheap, you know? Chemical filters again here, including avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, and octocrylene. Not really much worth mentioning when it comes to inactive ingredient highlights. It does also have vitamin E like most of these others, and aloe, which can calm and hydrate, but again, for $10, I'm like, I don't care, I'll get my nice ingredients elsewhere. This has a very unique texture. I would say it's most comparable to the Roche Posay Melt and Milk, but I think it's a little bit more like slippery almost than that one. It's another that I would say feels kind of soft and velvety. But yeah, maybe like just a tiny more slippery is the best way to describe it. I don't know. I don't have any other sunscreens that feel quite like this, but I like it because it feels moisturizing. And I feel like you would love it if you had dry skin, but it also is something that that I think works with oilier skin because it's not something that feels heavy. The only thing that you may not love if you have oily skin is the finish. I was expecting this to have more of a natural dry down because of the way that it feels, but it definitely does look very glowy, leaning more dewy on my skin. So if you're not into that, this won't be the one for you, but it's not something that I think looks, you know, overly shiny, overly greasy to the point where I don't want to wear it. So this is such a nice, fun, little affordable surprise for this video. I am curious to test out more from this brand now when it comes to sun care. I have not looked into anything else from them, but let me know if I should. Second to last is another from Supergoop. This is their did I say that weird? Supergoop? Supergoop. No. Supergoop Every Single Face Watery Lotion is what this sunscreen is. This is an SPF 50. It's water and sweat resistant for 40 minutes, so not quite the 80-minute mark, but better than nothing. And this is a chemical sunscreen. Avobenzone, homosalate, octisalate, and octocrylene are the active ingredients. Inactive ingredient highlights include betaine, which is a nice hydrating ingredient, and a lot of different plant extracts like green tea and mushroom and apple and raspberry, and none of those are fragrant extracts. They are all really nice, hydrating, some of them brightening, conditioning ingredients for the skin, but this does have some fragrant ingredients like linalool and lavender extract. This has never irritated my skin, and this one I think is a lot less fragrant than their other sunscreen. Like, this just smells like sunscreen to me. I don't really notice any floral scent at all. This is the sunscreen that I was thinking about when I was talking about the Roche Posay AOX serum, because it is the second most liquidy, runny, watery formula in this video. It's really nice. I absolutely love it. But I would say that this one, I'm sorry, I have hair in my glass. I would say that this one has the teeniest, tiniest bit of like an oily slip to it. And that's something, again, that I hesitate to say because I don't think it feels greasy when I'm applying it, but it's almost just like in this soft way. If you were using a moisturizer that had some nice oils in it, there's just a little bit of that, whereas this one does not feel that way. But because of that, I really love the way that this feels on the skin. It gives it this extra softening effect that some of these other sunscreens don't have. Again, I'm being so nitpicky. Like, these all feel soft, but this is just like got a little something extra. Still feels very moisturizing and hydrating, but again, in a lightweight way. This one though does definitely have a dewy finish. It has that, you know, extra sheen on the skin that would probably start to look shiny on oily skin with multiple applications throughout the day. So just be mindful of that if you're super, super oily. It's one that I still like, but if it's really hot and humid, I like to pair it with another sunscreen. Like, I'll do one layer of something that has more of a natural dry down, then a layer of this on top, you know, something like that. So depending on the type of finish that you're going for, I think the actual feel of it would work with really any skin type. If you have dry skin and you've been on the hunt for something that really makes your skin look dewy but is super lightweight, then this will be for you. Because I do feel like a lot of products that look really dewy can either feel a little too heavy or feel kind of tacky and sticky, and this does not. And the last sunscreen to make the cut for this video is the EltaMD UV Clear Broad Spectrum SPF 46. This is not water or sweat resistant, and this is a combination sunscreen like the DRMTLGY sunscreen. Also has zinc oxide and octinoxate as the active ingredients, and some similar inactive ingredient highlights: niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, vitamin E, but the one that this has that the DRMTLGY sunscreen does not is lactic acid, which is not in this formula for the purpose of exfoliating the skin, but to help to hydrate. This is a creamier consistency, but it has this kind of whipped feel to it that makes it super, super lightweight. It feels so silky on the skin. It's super nice to apply. Very softening, very hydrating. I really enjoy it. And this, on me at least, definitely has the dewiest finish. So not going to be for you if you don't want that extra oomph on the skin, but if you do, I think that it's really nice. The only thing about this that I think is tricky is that, again, it's a texture that I think would work with most skin types, but the finish, I think, caters towards more dry skin. However, I know that for some people, this sunscreen starts to feel a little bit dry and tight. So in that way, it's not always the best match for dry skin because of how it ends up sitting. For me, my skin does not feel dry or tight. It doesn't sting when I wear this, but I have heard that. So something to be mindful of. I don't experience that with any of these sunscreens, obviously, or they would not make the cut, but I feel like this is one over all of these that I've heard that about a few times. So might be one that's a little bit trickier to work with, maybe not one you actually want to go for if you're super, super dry. In that case, I think you may end up having better luck with something like Roche Posay here, Bondi Sands here. But if you're somewhere in between, maybe normal combination, but your skin is looking really dull and dehydrated, then this could be a winner. And the last thing I want to call out about this is actually something that I forgot to say for the Dermatology sunscreen is that both of these sunscreens do look like they're going to have a white cast when you're first rubbing them into the skin. So if you were looking at those video clips, like, what are you talking about? That clearly has a white cast. It does at first, but it's the kind that actually on my skin fully absorbs and goes away once the sunscreen has had a chance to dry down. So if I give it like 10, 15 minutes, I no longer have a white cast with either of these. So I obviously have light skin tone. If you have very, very deep dark skin, you may still be able to see that a little bit, but for me, there is not one at all. And we're going to wrap up this video here because those are all of the sunscreens that I wanted to share today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. You'll have to let me know in the comments below. Have you tested out any of these before? Did you have a similar experience to me? Maybe a different experience? Or are you interested in trying any of these for the first time after watching this? If so, let me know which ones. I will have them all listed and linked in order of mention in my description box, again, as usual, so that it's easy for you to find. Make sure to stay tuned for the upcoming additions to this series. Again, we, of course, will talk about my favorite Asian sunscreens, glowy sunscreens. Let me know if you want to see the Roche Posay video. If there's any other kinds of sunscreens you guys want me to do a dedicated video on, I am down. I love sunscreen videos, and I know that you guys really enjoy them too. So that is everything. If you did enjoy this, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, click on that notification bell and send my channel to a friend. Thank you as always for doing those things. Your support means the world. Make sure to stay tuned for my next video because that will be up in a few days. But until then, I hope you have a great few days.